I'm Tom Osman, and this is Whatever Comes Next, the podcast where I explore the world of underground and independent music making. And on today's episode, I am talking with drummer Charlie Werber, formerly of Lovely Little Girls, CHIROMANCER, the Flying Luttenbachers, amongst various other projects. And today we are particularly promoting Charlie's latest record, the first record that he's released under his own name, Krater, which is a fascinating album, largely a solo record, although, well, in fact, it's 50% a solo record and 50% a collaboration with Daniel O'Sullivan, who you may be familiar with from his work with Ulver and Miracle, amongst other bands. And yeah, there is a fascinating story behind the making of this album, both in terms of the, I guess, more theoretical rhythmic side, as well as the personal story of how Charlie got to the point that he was inspired to make this record. And even more than that, this was a fascinating conversation to have in terms of what I would say is the unique story that Charlie has. So as well as the musical history of his that I wanted to get into, what I wasn't aware of before the interview is that Charlie has moved into a different career of massage and bodywork, which we talk about, and talk about the connections between that and his previous training in drumming. So yeah, the conversation went in ways I did not expect, but it was all fascinating music and non-music related topics. And this is also, for me, another cool connecting episode. I mentioned in episode 81 my conversation with Todd Rittmann of US Maple and Dead Rider. And yeah, so that was kind of the latest in a connecting set of interviews, going back to my interview with Tommy Meehan from Squid Pisser, who Todd Rittmann has worked with, which then led to my interview with Gregory Jacobson, who designed some artwork for Squid Pisser. And so Charlie Werber, as I mentioned in the intro, used to drum for Lovely Little Girls, which is the band for Gregory Jacobson. And in fact, the latest album, Krater, was mastered by Todd Rittmann. So it's a whole interconnecting world. And without giving anything too much away, there is another interview in the pipeline that connects all of these people together as well. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. I will put a link into the description for where you can get Krater from, which is Bandcamp. And beyond that, I am going to play a clip from the record. In fact, basically, Krater is made up of two tracks. There is one track of Charlie, and there is one track of Charlie with Daniel O'Sullivan. I am going to play a clip from the Daniel O'Sullivan part, and then I'm going to play the Charlie part of the record in full at the end of the interview. And I hope that you will feel compelled to check out the whole record and potentially even buy yourself a copy, whether that's going to be digital or vinyl. And I think that's about it. You can follow me on all social media at Tom Osman Sounds. You can go to my website, tomosmansounds.com, to see what I'm doing musically. I have just finally started to practice guitar again because I need to record some more tracks for the latest collaboration that I'm involved with Existent Non-Existent, who I previously collaborated with on my album Industrial State of Mind. And I think that that's all there is that needs to be said. So for now, I say, Charlie Werber, take it away. Hello, hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
I'm very well, Charlie. Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Where are you at the moment?
I'm in Chicago right now.
I understand that you're Chicago-based. Are you born and bred in Chicago?
No, I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay. When did you move to Chicago?
I moved here a couple of different times. First time, originally I had moved from Maryland to Minnesota for college. And Chicago seemed to be the next logical place to go after that. So I moved to Chicago, spent some time in California, and now I'm back to Chicago the second time.
Yeah, you've got an interesting accent. Like I'm not very good at placing accents, but when you said Minnesota, I'm thinking maybe there's like a little bit of Minnesota in it because I feel like the Minnesota accent is quite distinctive.
Yeah, it's almost Canadian in a way.
Yeah.
And you, I can't differentiate UK accents very well.
Well, I am also I'm a strange case because I'm originally from Australia,
Oh,
but I
okay.
but I grew up in different parts of Scotland, and then I've also lived in England, Wales, Czech Republic, and Germany.
Do you feel like you've picked up different accent idiosyncrasies from each of those places?
I think so. Like, I don't know if you have this at all, but I find that when I'm in different places, I kind of, whether intentionally or not, I start to like morph my accent a little bit. So, like, if I'm in Scotland, I sort of take on
Yeah,
some
yeah.
kind of Scottishisms.
Yeah, it's like a regional code switching in a way.
Yeah.
But the dead giveaway for me is whenever I say the word coffee.
Ah, okay. And so, speaking of coffee, I guess for you, this is a more appropriate time for coffee than it is for me. For me, it's 9 in the evening. What time is it for you?
Okay, it's 3 p.m.
Oh, okay. Do you
I
have
mean,
like,
still, still risking it a little bit. We'll see what happens when I try to go to sleep.
what's like kind of your usual time frame for you? Like, when do you tend to get up?
I work as a massage therapist at a spa, so they open at 10. So I always push it as much as I can. Like 8:30 is my usual wake up time.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I don't know if you know, but I interviewed Gregory Jacobson a little while ago, who I know you
Yeah,
worked
yeah,
with before.
yeah. I watched a good bit of that.
He told me that he's not really into mornings, so I wasn't sure if that would be the same for you.
I feel like he's a painter, so that's sort of at least my impression of someone who's a painter is a night owl.
Yeah, I guess the timing's going to be a bit different. So anyway, let's talk about you and your music. So
Yeah.
I'm familiar with various different projects that you've been involved with, and I'm excited to get into talking about some of them. But obviously, we're here mainly to talk about your forthcoming, at the time of this interview, release, Krater. Am I right in saying this is the first time that you've released something under your own name?
Yes.
So tell me how this project came about.
One way to talk about it is that I had just never initiated a project on my own, and it felt really important for me to do. I had immediately prior to making this project been playing in the Flying Luttenbachers, which was it was all material that was I was learning, and it was very strictly composed. So it felt like it would be an interesting thing for me to try to see what would happen if I just used purely my own voice. I know that might be sort of an artificial. I don't know if I'm ever purely using my own voice because there are all these external influences, but as close as I could get to that.
Yeah, no, I mean I can understand. There's a big distinction between going into a band where you're learning the material versus basically you creating what's going to organically come out of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it also seems that, well, there's not really a but, but it seems as well, like from what I've read in the press release and from looking at your info on Bandcamp, it seems like there's a lot of kind of theory behind what you do musically, which I'm quite fascinated about. Like I saw you've got a quote from Rilke, and
Yeah.
I used to do philosophy, and I never really read Rilke, but I was like, all right, I was really into existentialism. And so that was a name that has cropped up. And I think also as well, like, I don't know where I read it, but Janus and Janusian practice is kind of something as well. So from a sort of theoretical point of view, like I know in terms of like, drumming and drum theory, I'm totally a layman. When I listen to Krater, it's really absorbing. It's really fascinating. There's this great flow to it. It's also like beyond my capacity to understand what you're doing rhythmically. It's like in my very basic sense, when I listen to drumming or music in general, I'm like, right, where's the one? And I'm listening to Krater and I'm like, I can't figure it out. Like, so,
I'm so happy to hear that. Um, yeah, the idea was to create something that was sort of a snake eating its own tail.
hmm,
And so I'm using these rhythms of different lengths to loop in and around each other.
is that specifically related to the concept of urobaric polymeters?
Yeah, yes. sort of self-recursive. It's a difficult thing to put words to, but that's the movement or geometry that I'm trying to create with the listener also, where this self-recursive thing gets looped into the subject and object.
So how far back does all this go for you in terms of this theory and these ideas?
When I was playing more music than I am now in Chicago about 2012, 2013, that's when a lot of the lovely little girls and the band, other band I was playing in, Guzzle Mug and Murmur, when those were all very active and I was burning myself out. I had sort of an existential event. And I feel like the past 12 or so years of my life has been that event sort of integrating into my life. And I'm seeing this record as sort of the expression of that in the world.
That's a very intriguing statement. Can you say a bit more what you mean by having an existential event?
Yeah, yeah. There are a bunch of different words for this. In Zen, I guess it would be Kensho, where there's like an initial contact with God or the divine. What I experienced was I could describe it as infinity or God waking up in me, and that initial event sort of took me through a lot of different territory, and there've been shifts and events since then, but that's what sort of initiated everything.
And so then so that experience then getting from there, whatever it was, like 12, 13 years ago to the album now, in
Yeah.
terms of these kind of ideas that you're exploring with the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
rhythms, like were you already sort of working through these ideas in other projects, or is this something that it's
Yeah.
like this is really the first time you've had a chance to express this?
Yeah. I would say it was more contextualized previously through like prog rock, like King Crimson polymeters and stuff like that. And so there's like precedent in my work for sure. But I feel like that language lends itself to these longer like durational pieces.
Yeah.
But also like, I mean, Steve Reich, you could throw that reference too. I suppose that's maybe more on the side of these longer like meditative pieces as opposed to the prog rock side.
Yeah. I remember when I spoke to Gregory and I brought up prog rock, he was like, yeah, everyone else in the band is like really into prog rock.
um, yeah, I remember there was one part of that interview where you were asking him. There's like a particular song on Glistening Vivid Splash that he felt like he couldn't connect to on an emotional level. I think it's probably one of the few tracks that I had a hand in helping write.
Okay.
Um, he didn't name specifically the piece, but I think I know what he was talking about.
I think if I remember correctly, he said that the bass player was a big Magma fan. I don't know if that was kind of a
Yeah,
major reference point for you.
yeah, I love Magma.
So, what was kind of like thinking about your origins as a drummer? Where did you start, and what kind of got you in? Because I feel like you know a lot of the music that I listen to is sort of rock based. I don't know for you whether there's kind of jazz or if you're coming from another direction.
Primarily rock, lots of fusion. I went to music college, so I was sort of had to learn a bunch of different styles, which I think was mostly a good thing. I don't know. It seems like it's hard for me to think about where I got certain vocabulary from, just because it's been so long since I've learned new vocabulary.
Yeah. And in terms of you playing music, has it always been drums?
Yeah, yeah. Anytime I've tried to pick up any sort of other instrument, it's always just I've always just felt like there's been more work to do on drums.
And so, like, do you remember that initial moment where you decided that you wanted to play drums? Was there anything in particular that sparked that interest?
I can sort of like retroactively, this may not have been my
Yeah.
thought process at the time,
I
but
know,
there's
I know
like a
memory's kind of treacherous.
there's a like a tactility to drums that I don't find as much of in other instruments. The gestures involved in drumming are more dramatic than a lot of other instruments, and I think I resonated with that.
And in terms of what you're doing on Krater specifically, when you think about what you're doing with these different rhythms, like, could you have done this from a technical point of view, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Technically, but I don't think I would have been able to play it from the same place, like internally.
Yeah.
Playing the same thing for a long period of time, I think it's sort of a given that there are going to be emotions and thoughts and phenomena that comes and goes. But I think that may have been more of an issue in the past.
And, interestingly, just at the moment that you're saying this, I thought I've never spoken to a drummer about an entirely, obviously there's the other half of the record with Daniel O'Sullivan, but in
Yeah.
terms of the first piece where it's just your drumming, I've never spoken to a drummer who has created a piece where it's all them playing one drum piece. And so to be able to ask them like what your experience of that music is like from an emotional point of view, like what is it? What is this experience for you playing this music like?
There's a lot of different internal dynamics happening while I'm playing it. But I think the orientation is always the same, where I'm doing this thing that I really care about. And there's like an inner sense feltness that I really care about this thing. Um, but it's more of a like it's a tactile thing and not like I'm thinking about this thing that I really want to be doing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it does, and it's interesting because I think that's the second time that you've mentioned the word tactile. And
Yeah.
this might be a bit of a stretch, but I'm wondering, do you feel like you have any aspects of synesthesia?
I don't think in the conventional sense, but I do relate to phenomena as being texture or tactile, like even like I mean sound, there's a sense feltness, color, there's like it has a like a vibration or a texture. Yeah. I mean you could say that all experience is texture or yeah, texture is a good word, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it sort of it takes a person to sort of look at things from that perspective and really kind of absorb that idea to see the world in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it's just what there is behind like an interpretation or analysis of anything.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I'm back in university studying Kant. Things are being reactivated in my brain. Mentioning Daniel O'Sullivan, so when I think of him, I think of Ulver and Miracle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a fascinating person to collaborate with. How did you decide that you wanted to collaborate with him, and how did that come about?
Yeah. Going back to texture and tactility, I feel like when I've listened to his work, I've recognized like a particular texture or flavor running through his work that I feel in myself, and I feel interestingly, when I read the work of Philip K. Dick or certain other people that I would view in terms of like lineage. So feeling that resonance, it was an obvious choice to ask him to be a part of this.
And was that straightforward?
Yeah, really straightforward. As straightforward as writing an email.
And was like how familiar was he with your work?
Not at all.
But I
I
guess,
mean, he had
no,
been familiar
yeah,
with Flying Luttenbachers, but
yeah.
that's
But I mean, I'm sure you have a lot. You have way more experience than me, but I gather from having been a fan of music for a long time and talking to different musicians, like good drummers are cherished.
It seems like most drummers are in like five different bands.
It does. Well, I mean, yeah, it sounded like as well from what you brought up before that like back in 2012, 2013, you did have several bands on the go at the same time.
Yeah.
And so like what was the process like in terms of the creation of the album and Daniel's involvement? Because I think he played some other instruments and he was also involved in the mixing, is that right?
Yeah, basically, I had gone into the studio and recorded this very long drum piece. Somebody in local to Chicago, Nick Brosty, did the recording of that drum track, and so I had this recording. I sent it to Daniel. He did. He just took it and ran with it. He did pretty much everything else himself. He did the mixing and the recording of all his own instruments.
And did you give him some guidelines of the kind of thing that you were looking for from him?
I gave him some rough guidelines of like aspects of his work that I liked and certain sounds that I liked. But the guidance was really general and loose. Interestingly, when we were talking about this sort of thread of like lineage, which I'm just using the word loosely, I had pulled up a Philip K. Dick short story that seemed related to the piece, but I didn't send it to Daniel. And this short story contained a poem from Virgil, but I refrained from sending it. Anyway, he sent me back the final copies of the what he had done with the track, and the original version of this track had included the poem that I didn't send to him.
It's quite spooky.
Yeah,
Is that the kind of thing that you've noticed happening to you before?
yeah, yeah. The way that the record came together. Yeah, like several. I don't know. I should get into this. Several years prior, as sort of this my existential process or whatever you want to call that was unfolding, I came to sort of a pivot point, which was punctuated by the experience of a rotating egg being placed in my head, and half of this egg was white and half of it was black, like a light and dark dichotomy of this egg spinning, and the acceleration of the spin would push it past this dichotomy.
Okay. Like it would unify somehow? Is that what you mean?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. But the structure of the record, without me doing anything, took on the structure of the egg. You have the way that the record is set up with the two sides,
Yes.
and yeah.
So that not initially your idea? Like when you said about making it, was it more just you were going to work on the drum track? You didn't have this idea in mind that you'd have the half with Daniel and the half with the drums.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Everything just started being a reflection of this experience that I'd had several years prior.
And so this concept of the egg with the dichotomy, is that something in your mind that's entirely connected to this record, or that it has a life for you beyond that?
Both. I mean, there's the particulars of what it means in terms of the details of my life, and then there's a larger, like you could look at it as being a cosmology. But the space that I was occupying when that visionary experience occurred, I had spent the previous several years trying to achieve a certain state, and then I had found that I had somehow like backed into the state that I was looking for, and that created this dichotomy between where I saw that I could never leave, and it set up a dichotomy between eternity and time, or being and becoming.
Hmm.
And so this egg came at the point in which those two had to be integrated.
This is fascinating. I feel like my questions now that I had prepared about your musical history seem somehow frivolous.
I hope it makes sense. It's like it's strange to try to put all these things into words.
There are certain aspects of what you're saying that I can definitely relate to. There are other aspects where I feel like I need more time to be able to absorb it rather than just instantly to go like, aha, right, okay, how about this? It's like it's quite a lot to think about.
Yeah, yeah.
But then going back to the musical side of things, something I wanted to ask you. So you talked about having moved back and forth through various cities. In terms of your time playing in bands, has that always been like after you had your training? Has that always been in Chicago?
I was in a like a avant prog duo. I think that's the genre that we landed on in when I was living in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And that was just like a Nord keyboard and vocals and drums.
And was that you doing vocals as well, or?
No, that was me on drums, and then my friend Evelyn Davis, who's played in Cheer Accident, and she plays with Fred Frith also. Um, Frank and Nixon was her previous band. Yeah, that was a fun duo.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up Evelyn Davis because that quite organically leads into something else I wanted to ask you about. Because
Okay.
as well as having talked to Gregory Jacobson, I've also interviewed someone else very recently, actually, just in the last few days, who you've worked with. In fact, you worked with them very recently, and they had very positive things to say about you, Todd Rittmann.
Oh yeah. Okay, you interviewed Todd. Great.
And so he particularly brought up how much he enjoyed working on your, if I say this right, your chiromancy,
Yeah,
chiromancer,
yeah.
sorry, chiromancer
Chiromancer.
record.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, what was it? Guilty Pleasure.
yeah.
And I've listened to the album, and it is really cool as
Okay.
well. It's like and
Awesome.
got got a very kind of different character to Krater. It's got a very different character to Love Little Girls. So tell me about how that project came about.
She was sort of moving in and out of the Bay Area, and I was already living there. And she, I guess, like I caught her on one of her cycles of staying there for an extended period of time. And I mean, oh, we had previously played in a Sheer Accident for like a show or two together, just for, I think I played for maybe 2 minutes of their set. They have a lot of rotation happening during their shows.
Yeah, because you've
Um,
also played with them as well quite recently, haven't you? You're on record with them like just last year, I think.
for I think for like an improvised every year they'll do like a New Year's a long extended improvisation.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, it was just sort of a natural happening that we were both living in the Bay Area and we had played together and got along musically. Yeah, I lived in the Bay from 2015 to 2019, 2020.
I see. And yeah, I mean, that was also, going back to my previous comment about my sort of basic understanding of drum rhythms. When I was listening to that record, I was also thinking, again, I have no idea what's going on with the time signatures here. And I don't know how much that's to do with what you had written and what she had written, because I was thinking her vocal parts also have, their own particular rhythms to them as well. So what were you
Yeah.
kind of both going for together in that record? Obviously, like, different tracks, there are quite different sounds and rhythms that you've
Yeah.
got.
I think we pulled from a lot of different places. Sometimes tunes would start with me bringing in a pattern. Sometimes she would have stuff written that she'd bring in. It ended up being really collaborative. Like there was a lot that happened in terms of writing in the room, and it was just sort of wherever our minds took us.
And did you get an opportunity to perform together live?
Yeah, yeah, we played a handful of shows. Playing as a duo live is a lot of fun. I think as a drummer, I'm used to having a whole band to to hide behind, but also to interface with it. And it just sort of like there's almost like a tennis element to playing in a duo live.
And what
You
would
and one other
she,
person, and that's like the only thing happening. Yeah.
yeah, what would she be playing on stage?
Nord keyboard and singing.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you mentioned the Nord keyboard. Okay. And I wanted to ask as well, because I'm uh, I love all the lovely little girl stuff, but I have to say I'm particularly fascinated with cleaning the filth from a delicate frame. And in fact, if I'm going to be really specific,
Okay.
I'm so good looking is like I love this song so much, and I keep introducing my friends to it to various different reactions. Some of my friends are like, this is amazing, and other of my friends are like, it's a bit weird. But I'm kind of just I think
Yeah.
that was the album that you joined the band for, right? So like, can you tell me the story of how you ended up playing with them? Were you already, I guess, within the sort of circles you're moving in, you were maybe familiar with them already?
Yeah, I had recently moved to Chicago at that point and already known Alex, the bass player, from playing shows with, his other bands and my other bands. So yeah, that was just a matter of knowing them already. I think they had taken an extended hiatus before playing again. I know it had been a number of years before they had taken a long break prior to having me in the band. Mm.
And what was that like? What was that experience like in that band compared to other bands you've played in?
There's a lot of people in that band. Um, it sort of evolved. I feel like Cleaning the Filth was mostly Alex and Greg writing pretty much everything, and then having other people fill it out. And whereas Glistening Vivid Splash, the next record, it was more collaborative with all the different 9 members. So I think that accounts for a lot of the difference in the way that the records sound.
Yeah, I guess that characterization does make sense. Like there definitely is quite a different feel to Glistening Vivid Splash, which I still think is a great record in its different way. But yeah, it kind of makes sense that there was a different sort of writing approach. So like when I think about my own experience playing in bands, which is relatively limited, like I remember I was in a band some years ago and there were 5 of us, I think. And we were always quite proud of the fact that even though certain members of the band were kind of like falling to pieces in their personal lives, we would always manage to get together and rehearse once a week. So did you find being in a band with 9 or 10 people that logistically did that tend to work out, or was it hard?
I remember it being not as difficult as I would have thought. But yeah, I mean, trying to juggle 9 people's schedules is there's no way that it can be super smooth and easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be helpful to have like rehearsals with separate sections of the band. I think they did that sometimes, or even just like me and Alex, the bass player, meeting up and working on just like because some of the tunes I feel like can stand alone just as like bass and drums as a sort of like there's enough of like a narrative through line between the rhythm section to like sustain a listenable experience.
Yeah. And, thinking about the different bands and the different projects that you've been involved with, I don't know whether now at the moment, I mean, I guess you probably, when did you actually record Krater? Like I tend to find, when I'm interviewing people, a lot of the time, if something's coming out, they actually recorded it quite a while ago. So how long ago did you actually record Krater?
Yeah, last April.
Okay. So I presume that since then, there have been various other projects that you've been involved with. Like, do you have some other ongoing projects or bands?
No, um, not really. It's sort of I feel like everything with music and then me doing like massage and body work, it all just sort of like I don't feel like I truly need to be playing music, be like sated at this point because what I do like in body work fulfills me in the same way. And I can sort of I don't actively always need to be playing music to be happy.
That's very interesting. So when and how did the massage become a part of your life?
When I was living in California, um, I'd had like previous like yoga training before, but it just felt like a really natural thing for me to do because it's all I don't know if this sounds pretentious or not, but it's all like about contour and texture and listening, and yeah, it has a lot common with music, I think.
And was there a point where you realized, like, oh, this can actually be a substitute in terms of what it fulfills to music, or did you indeed go into it with that kind of mindset?
I think I went into it with that sort of mindset, theoretic, like not necessarily theoretically, but I could see that was the potential of body work. But I think it took me a while to be able to have that come out in my work. And just like getting past the like clumsy mechanical aspect of like learning a craft is the commonality that I saw between learning a musical instrument and doing massage or body work.
And how much training was involved in that? Because I'm thinking to myself, you know, you've obviously gone through a lot of training in your life for drumming. So was it a similar kind of story for bodywork and massage?
Yeah, I mean, there's like basic massage school training is about 600 hours, but I've done like other external trainings outside of that. But I think the primary training is just like working on body after body after body, and working with like thousands of different people is like being in being in a practice room every day or like playing music every day. There's no training that replaces the experience of just doing it over and over.
This is fascinating. What a unique experience.
I think so. Yeah.
So coming back to Krater then, so is this self-released or how is it coming out? I think there's a vinyl version that will be available, right?
Yeah. It's I did vinyl and digital and it is self-released.
And so I'm going to be putting this interview out in a couple of weeks, so just after the records come out. So where is the best place for people to get it from, whether it's vinyl or digital?
Yeah. Yeah, Bandcamp for both is the best option, if not the only option.
I have positive feelings about Bandcamp.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And just for my own curiosity, whether for you as a music maker or as a music fan, what do you think about the whole streaming services topic of Spotify and everything else?
I don't know if this is a pessimistic outlook, but for me personally, I don't feel like I'm going to be making any money making music. So it doesn't really it doesn't affect me either way, and it it does work nicely as a mechanism for exposure. That said, if there are people that are relying on their music to generate income, then I think it is sort of a shame that that's been in a way taken away from them.
And has this attitude that you've got towards the music that you make evolved over time?
In terms of like financial
Yeah,
aspect.
in terms of sort of approaching it with a realistic sense of I'm going to do the music that I find interesting, but I'm not going to expect to get financially rewarded from it.
Yeah. I think for me, having something else that I do for a living that, I mean, the fact that I like it is a bonus, but the fact that I have something else that I do for a living allows me to be more casual with my perspective, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I mean, I've talked with other people about this. There are sort of pros and cons because it's like, it's sort of great on the one hand for me to hear about people that can actually make a career out of making interesting sort of underground independent music. But on the other hand, if you have a separate career, then it sort of, I guess, takes away the pressure and you can be like, I'm going to create anything that I want to. And there's no particular worry about the reception that it gets as long as I think that it's authentic and worth doing.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, like, how does that sit for you?
I mean, yeah, it's interesting because there was a time when probably a naive time in my life when I was about 18 or 19 or 20, where I thought like, yeah, I could go and make music and I can be like a rock star, as absurd as that seems to say now. But at a certain point, once I became interested in music writing and interviewing people, I've sort of like, I still make my own music, but I've become so fascinated with finding out stories of other people that make music that I'm actually not really sure anymore what I'm trying to achieve with music making. I think for me personally, I just feel like I have to do something creative one way or another.
Yeah, got it.
And when that's your outlook, that can take pretty much any form.
Yeah. You found it to be freeing for your own expression?
I guess the thing is, I never got to any kind of level with music making where some sort of large exposure or financial reward was even anywhere on the horizon. I was doing things at a very, very local, basic level.
Okay.
I had fantasies and daydreams that were all sort of far in the distance. And I still definitely am interested in creating music, but I think at this stage I very much have the attitude of I'm totally happy to be entirely obscure as long as I can create something that I think is interesting. And as well, I think I also have this perspective now because, so now that I've had the opportunity to talk to so many of the people that I admire making music, and a lot of them are doing things which are, for the mainstream audience, totally obscure. It's like, I don't know how familiar you are with like Eugene S. Robinson, for example. He used to be in Oxbow, and now he's got a band called Bunwell. Like, I remember years ago when I first discovered Oxbow, I thought like, oh, this is like their thing, but they only put albums out every few years. That's interesting. Like, I wonder where the money's coming from. And then after I interviewed him a couple of times, I realized this is not what he's making money from. He's got like completely separate life and career, and he goes into this sort of avant-garde rock when he has the time for it. So that was kind of one step towards me realizing like, oh, for a lot of these people, it's naive to think that this music that they're making, this alternative or avant-garde music, is the thing that financially supports them. It's not like that a lot of the time. It'd be nice if it was.
Yeah, agreed.
Charlie, it was a great pleasure to meet you. It was a fascinating story. I'm going to continue thinking about some of the things
meeting you.
that you've told me about. Thank you very much.